Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll get started in just a moment. All right. Thank you for joining us today for our Power BI and Business Central webinar. My name is Michelle Cerna. I am the Director of ERP here at True North Dynamics. I will be joined as well by Julia Bowe, who is a Power Apps consultant. Together, we will be presenting to you how you can use Power BI and Business Central together out of the box. I will begin our webinar and go through how we can connect and use web services inside of Business Central. In Business Central, you have open API or web services that are available for you to connect to Power BI or other outside sources. There are already a number of web services that are exposed, but you can add more. And if you're looking for something that does not currently exist, we can always expose those APIs for you to use. I'm going to start out with just a few screenshots of how you can access those web services in Business Central, and then Julia's going to take over and give you a live demonstration of how you can use Power BI. In Business Central, if you go to your Tell Me and look up web services, you will see under the Go to Pages and Tasks web services. And you're going to choose that one. It's a list view. Once you get to that page, you will see that there are a number of available web sources and services available for you already. You can see here on my screen, there's a number that are showing. There is probably over 100 different web services that are already exposed. You are looking at the OData v4 URL that you can always add into things like Excel or outside sources to integrate into Business Central and pull that data in. But you can also utilize all of these values within Power BI as well. If there is a table or a page or a query that you are looking for that doesn't exist, you can always add new. So when you push that plus new button, you will get a new line you can see on the top screenshot here where you can add in a code unit, a page, or a query. Now on the bottom screenshot, you can see I added page, and I wanted to add something like my customer ledger entries here that I could then pull in that customer information. I don't necessarily know, though, the table number or my page number. So you can still go to select from your full list just by selecting that down arrow next to my 0 and choosing select from full list. And then that will take you to a new window where you can just search up in your magnification glass what you're looking for. So I was looking for my customer ledger entries screen, and I can see here, it's right there for me. I can select table ID number 25 and OK. Now back on the screen previously where we were with that 0 and down arrow, it then fills in your customer ledger entries. Your only steps here now at this point to expose those is to name your web service. You can't have any spaces in here. So you can see I did Power BI, customer ledger. You can create any name that you'd like. And then there's going to be a checkoff box. Make sure you check that box. That's just making sure that it is a published web service that you can then see. Once you have added your web services, if you needed to, or if everything that you want is available, that's all you need to do to be able to get up and running in Power BI. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Julia, who's going to show us how we can utilize Power BI with our Business Central data. Go ahead and take it away, Julia.
Thank you, Michelle. As Michelle mentioned, I am Julia Bowe. I am a functional consultant here at True North. My true passion, though, is Power BI and reports specifically. So I'm going to share my screen. So once you see my screen, can you see my screen?
We can, Julia. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is going to be the end result of what we are doing today. As you can see, this is online, and this is in my workspace under Power BI. And I can share it out to people within my company and people outside of the company as well, so they can have an insight of what this information is. As a reminder, we are using test data. So obviously in this example, the price is or the cost is higher than the price, which is not ideal in any situation. So we're going to start off in Power BI. So we're going to hit with, actually this is, I already created a little bit so you didn't have to do every step because sometimes it can take a while loading all of the data. But we'll go with the getting brand new data and what that looks like and getting those web services that Michelle had talked about previously. So we're going to get data from another source, and we can just type in Business Central and it'll be right there. So we're doing not on-prem, so we're going to connect. It'll ask you for your login information and it will connect you to that. And then it's going to bring you to a screen that looks like this. So we're currently in demo land, and we're going to bring in the Life is Rough test company. And then those advanced APIs are what Michelle was pointing out earlier and doing earlier. So we're going to bring in the customers for this, and then we can also bring in any standard one, but just for this, we'll just you just click load, and it would load all that information in. So it would look exactly like is over here on the side where it has customers, employees, items, and all of those. So those are all those tables that I brought in. So the first one I'm going to be doing is the total amount by employee name. So I'm going to be bringing in the employee name of the display name, which is going to show in a list form. And then I'm going to go to sales invoices, and we're going to do the total amount after including tax. You can do without tax. I just prefer with tax. It's kind of a personal decision. So then we're going to do a pie chart, and that has the total amount per person. And I don't like the naming of that, so I'm actually just going to change the name of this to whatever you would like it to be, but I'm going to do total amount. And we're going to do a display name. That's not really, people aren't really able to know what that is just based off looking at it. So I'm going to do employee name. So that's our first visual of what this looks like on the dashboard. So next I'm going to bring in the average item cost. So for items, it's going to be the a unit cost. And it's going to show in this bar graph right here. I don't like the way that looks. I don't think that looks easy for anybody to be able to tell. So I wanted to make it into a card. And so that's the sum. But I don't want the sum because the sum is not, I don't think that's a really good way to be able to tell what that really looks like, or what that doesn't like mean anything to me per se. So I want to go with the average. So that's how we get the average. And then the same thing with the price. We're gonna, well, it's gonna, there we go. And click out of it. We're gonna go price, and it's gonna do the exact same thing, but we wanna go with a card. So the card is gonna show us just a snapshot of what that looks like. And again, it's a summary, and I don't want the summary, I want that average. So I'm gonna change that name so it's a little bit easier for everybody to know what that is. Oh, average. Let's do, and then we'll do the same thing over here as well. Okay, so then the next thing is we're going to do the balance due by customer name. So we're going to go up to customers, and that is the display name of that customer, and then it's that balance due. And truly, you can pick any visual you want. I just think that like it's nice to see what that looks like compared to out of all of the balance due, which customer has the highest amount due, which customer is the most important customer that maybe you want to reach out to and just kind of get, hey, this is your balance due. Let's talk about like a plan for that. So I'm going to do a donut chart. So that allows me to see that Alpine Ski House has the highest amount in aspect of the balance due. But again, I don't like that name, so I'm going to rename the visual. So I'm going to do balance due. And it's going to be of the customer. Okay, so the next we're going to do the total amount by taxes or with tax by state and payment amount or by payment term. So we're going to bring in that payment term, which is the display name. So I can already, since I'm pretty sure I'm going to be bringing in more than one display name, since they all have a display name as that kind of like indicator of all that naming convention, I'm going to change the name automatically since I know that will probably cause me some confusion. So then I'm going to go down to sales invoices. I'm going to find the payment terms on there. And then I get this error. This is a normal error. This is nothing to be worried about. This is just a can't determine the relationship. So we're going to go to the model view. And as we can see, there is no relationship with payment terms and sales invoices, which is totally fine. Just means we have to make one. So we're going to go to manage relationship, new relationship. So we're going to go from payment terms to sales invoices. And let's see, we have the display name, and then we're going to do the see if I can find it in here. It's in this list somewhere, just depending on which I saw one earlier that was payment terms, and it was right there. So payment terms, it says those ones are the GUID. So we want to make sure we don't have the display name. We actually want the GUID then. Which is totally fine. We're just going to select ID. And it will automatically make that cardinality one-to-many, which is correct. And then we have that cross filter direction of single. I actually want to make it both, so I can apply a filter, and I can filter it based on either option of if I want to filter on a payment term on the order or on the invoice or on the payment term. So we're going to hit save. We're going to go back to our report view, and as you can see, it populates that right there and it gets rid of that error. So I don't like that it says the payment terms ID, which is totally fine. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So we're going to do the order, and we're going to do the based off the total amount, including tax. And that's going to populate. So the orders that have that's the total of each thing, or of each the cash on delivery. We have 600,000 or $611,624.73. Again, I don't think this is a very great visualization if I want to take a quick glance of what this looked like. So I'm going to add going to make it let's do a payment term. Let's do that. But I actually think it could be one step further, and I actually think you could add the sell by state. So I'm choosing to do sell by state instead of bill by state, simply because I want to be able to see where we are selling those to, or where we are. Yeah, you can truly do whichever one you want, just kind of depending on what you want to visualize. I think this looks a little messy and not really easy to tell what this looks like. So I'm going to switch this up, and we're going to put the payment terms on the legend, and let's do the sell by state up top. Still don't love the way that looks, so let's do, let's see here. See if I can do a legend. So let's see here, payment terms in blue. Again, I don't think that's a very good accurate description of what that looks like. So let's put the payment terms in the legend and see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm liking the data of this, but I'm not liking how it looks. So let's see if we can make a little bit better of a stacked bar chart. There we go, that looks a little bit better. It still looks like everything's at 100%, which I don't love, but you can kind of make it, play around with it, or kind of see which one you truly want. But I'm liking the payment terms being legend, and I'm liking the sell by state on the left-hand side, so you can see the state's easy. and then the sum of the total including tax. I don't really like that it's the sum, so I don't, let's just make that the count. If you did the average. I don't love that it's the showing in percentage, but again, I would just kind of see, let's figure out what's going on with that. Sometimes you can choose a do not summarize. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow it on every single visual. So you just have to find kind of ways around that or different ways to get what you're looking for. For now, we're going to be we'll leave it like this. But the next one we're going to focus on is the total order amount by state. So I'm going to bring in the total or the sales orders. And again, I'm going to do bill to state since I wanted to see where it's truly being billed to. And then I'm going to bring in the total order amount, including tax. So as you see, it says right here, this is showing a map visual. So as you can see, Georgia, we have the most amount of orders there. So this would be really great if you have a bunch of orders in many places. So I'm going to change the name of this to the bill to state. Oh, spelled state wrong. And then I'm going to change this one to the total amount with tax. So then you can see still that Georgia is the highest one. You can kind of adjust these to make sure it fits well and that the flow is understanding for each person. So as a user comes in here, you want to make sure they have a good understanding of how to easily read this. So oftentimes I'll also add text boxes that kind of describe what's happening. So as you can see in the top, just kind of describing, so it's easy for users to be able to tell just what's going on and what is happening within the visual, and so they can understand what that means for them as a user in the day-to-day of their activities or of their job. So the last part, the most important part, is unfortunately with the way it is right now, only I can see it, but I want to be able to share it with other people. So I'm going to go to Publish. I'm going to go to Publish Power BI or Publish to Power BI. I'm going to save my changes. Name, and I'm going to hit save. Unlike Word and unlike Excel, Power BI does not automatically save. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had issues with that, or not issues, but have had to deal with the effects of that. So I do recommend going and clicking save on a regular basis. So you can choose which workspace you want to send it to. So for this, I'm going to do my workspace. And then it's going to publish this web or this Power BI dashboard to Power BI online. So then I can go online, and that is going to be where we actually started. And this is what it looks like online. So you can see, and I can share it within Teams. I can share it with other people. I can subscribe to a report so I can get notifications on certain numbers. Example, if our price or if our cost gets too high or too low, and all of those lovely things. And it also gives you insights as well. So you can get insight to what's going on. So the average cost of this unit is currently at the average cost. It just tells you different information that sometimes we're not always able to pick up on since this is always watching the data. Does anybody have any questions or anything like that?
We do not have any questions in Q&A. Please remember you're able to add them at any time. And I will also switch back to my screen to show you how this works inside of Business Central once Julia has wrapped up.
You can go for it, Michelle.
Wonderful. I'll go ahead and share my screen then. All right. So now, once you've gotten your data inside of Power BI and you've published to whatever workspace works best for you, you can utilize that in uh, Power BI online, but you can also utilize that in Business Central. And there's a number of places that you can utilize that throughout on different screens and have different reports being able to be selected. So I've come back here inside of my company Life as Ref, where we were looking at that data. And you can see here on my role center that I have a whole section already dedicated to Power BI. So Power BI is completely embedded inside of Business Central as well. Now in this section, you can see I have reports displayed and they're interactive right from here. But if you have multiple reports that you'd like to toggle through, you can. If you select your Power BI down button, you will see there's a number of actions. If I were to come here to select report, it's going to open up a list of any of my published Power BI reports that I have access to. So if it's in my workspace or if it's in other workspaces that I have outside of my particular one. If you're publishing these for a company-wide to be able to access, then you'll want to publish it to a public workspace. So for example, I have here one of our Power BI reports that I was able to go out onto Microsoft App Source and install in my environment, of course, after testing. But I can see here that I have this report. Now it's still kind of tiny, but that's okay because we have this expand button here. So I can come here and I can expand my Power BI reports right within Business Central, and I can have them interactive here in my environment without having to leave to go to Microsoft 365 and access that report. And they're all interactive. So you can see as I'm selecting different date ranges, my information is reacting to how I do that. I can even come here and I can select different years. I can choose specific accounts. And all of that is able to be accessed with your live Business Central data and any Power BI reports that you've created. Now, not only do we have this on our role center, but we also have it throughout Business Central. For example, on my customer list page in my information pane, if you expand that, you can also see Power BI is here, and it isn't using the same report that I have saved on my role center. So you can have defaulted reports in different sections. Here, my Power BI report is looking at customer information. I'm on my customer page. I want my related Power BI reports right here. And again, they're still interactive and you still have all the same options that you did on your role center. Now, some of you might go, that's not in my information pane. Here is an example on my vendor list where I am in my information pane and I do not see Power BI. Don't worry, you still have it. If you go into personalize, make sure your information pane is open. You'll see that there is Power BI, it's just hidden away. So come over to your red drop-down arrow and choose show. And then you're gonna push your big red done and it's gonna stay there for you. Now this is a user by user basis. So if you do it for yourself and your neighbor is having trouble finding it, you'll just wanna show them how to expose it. Or if you guys share role centers, for example, I'm in the business manager role, we can set that on the role center settings as well. We're happy to show you how to do that. From here, because I haven't enabled any, I'm just going to select that first one. It's going to open up that list of all of my reports, and now I can choose something that's along the lines of my vendor or purchasing if I'd like to display that here. Again, you can have any of your Power BI reports across. So if I really wanted to view finance because I was on this page and that's what's convenient, I can do that. So don't worry, Power BI is in Business Central. You can also access it from office.com in your apps as well. You guys might be asking yourselves, what if I'm not a Power BI builder? How do I get these reports? There's a few different ways. Now in your extension management, if you come up to your lookup, of course, always do this in a sandbox first. If you're not sure how to get to your sandbox, just let us know. We're happy to show you. But there is the extension marketplace where you can search for pre-built Power BI packages. They usually still need to be set up and configured for your environment. We're happy to help you with that. We don't mind going along that journey to make sure you're choosing safe, reputable sources and ones that will work for your environment. But if you have specific dreams of dashboards that you wish that you could have with your data that's also integrating to an outside CRM system or an outside sales system, or maybe historical data. We have all the time where we're linking into old SQL databases or Access or Excel sheets. We can do that. Julia is one of our team members on our Power BI team. who can help us scope out the dashboards of your dreams, and we can build them for you. So you're not alone on this journey. We're here to help you and guide you, give you advice if you just want to ask questions, or build a full dashboard if you would like us to do that. We have a question that came in. Julia, can you get invoice or credit memo line item totals, item X totals by invoice or ship state? Not sure if Julie can hear. Yes, you
Yeah.
can. So you can get all of the information. Some of our web services are also on your individual lines. So you can do sales invoice lines, anything that's across the sales module, including invoices, credit memos, return orders. So you aren't only looking at the headers of documents, you can also look at your line levels as well. Any piece of
Yes.
data that's in Business Central, we can pretty much expose or is already exposed for you. One of the ones that we use internally is calculating exactly that, sales invoices, sales credit memos. So then we have a dashboard that's helping us account for commissions. So something that we use all the time internally and are happy to help you get up and running for your business. So if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to send them in, but you are also able to reach out to us at any point in time. If you are already up and running on Business Central with us and you have your client success manager that you work with all the time, you're comfortable talking to, you are able to email them directly or reach out to clientsuccess@truenorthdynamics.com. If you don't work with us yet and you'd love to, or you just have questions in general, feel free to email partnersuccess@truenorthdynamics.com. Really, if you email either of those emails, we are happy to help you on your journey to get running with Power BI and Business Central. And with that, I don't see any more questions. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have any information that you'd like, please reach out. We are happy to help you along on your journey. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.